Hey, welcome back to Your Daily Dungeon, Episode 5. Now, new and better without any technical delays, responses that are not unwanted, or, other terrible things and mishaps, right?
Yes, now the technical mishaps are only the ones that we want.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you've said it, Ian, it's going to happen. So.
That's what I was hoping for. I mean, if we get something really, really juicy that's just too good to cut out, or we can't cut out, is probably the better answer. It'll be there. All right, so last we left off, our adventurers had arrived in the town of Praxis City Bastion, or PCB as the locals call it.
Nobody calls it that.
Yes, they do.
I think everybody calls it that except for Amnon. Search your feelings, Amnon. You know it to be true. That's actually not Amnon speaking. That's just that's the sword.
Yeah, it's just Sarvdok.
Just get it together. Anyway, Amnon, Mel, Dejo, and Nadar have opted to stay in the tavern for a short amount of time to kind of get the rest in, get some tea in, and discuss some private matters amongst themselves, while Watt and Davros have decided to travel to the monastery that is Watt's, I believe, home church, correct, Watt?
Yes, it is.
You're going to speak to the priest, is this right? The head priest?
That was the plan. Try to get us uncursed.
Yes. Uncursed would be a good start. In addition to that, I do believe that you also wanted to kind of catch up with him, see what he's been up to.
See how everyone's getting along without me here.
How long has it been since you've been there?
A year.
2 days.
I left and was immediately captured and sent to prison.
It's been 1 week.
All right. So, Watt, you would know that your church is actually in the Upper District, and it's one of the nicer buildings there, and it sits just outside the residential area on the northern side of the city. If the city is kind of situated like the southernmost point being at the water, being at the ocean along the coast, the northernmost point is on the opposite side of that, closer to the actual wooded pine area that you came in from.
Right. Okay.
So as you guys travel through the streets and are kind of enjoying the nice day, you notice the streets are crowded with people kind of going in and out of different shops and or locations to go about their business. You see market stands with people buying goods and things like that. When you get to town center, in the town center, in the stockades, you see what looks to be like 2 guards in the actual stocks from the capital. They're wearing their black and red garb, and you notice that the town are throwing like rotten fruit at them and booing these 2 guards.
What they do?
Wooing.
Do you inquire to somebody in the crowd, Watt, or do you just keep walking?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna ask what they did.
So you approach the nearest villager. It's not really a villager, a citizen, a townsfolk.
Guy
town-
that's in the street.
Yeah, so a townsman turns around. This is a human of relatively middle age, sandy blonde hair and blue eyes. He turns and looks at you and kind of eyeballs you, Watt, and then the actual elf beside you, and kind of looks a bit taken aback at seeing an elf. And he goes like, "Oh, well, they came into town and they were threatening us with invasion within a week. And they were telling us that if we do not surrender the town lord over to the empire, they were going to invade us and burn us to the ground. So, and in order to kind of delay them getting their message back, we just opted to put them in the stocks and help them with rotten food."
That's always good.
That's fair.
I can't say I'd have done anything different.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Carry on.
Not much for not shooting the messenger, huh, Watt? So, the crowd continues to pelt these two guards with rotten food as you walk by. These stockades are kind of like on a raised platform made of wood. And you see what looks to be like the town bailiff presiding over this berating of food. Watt, you are familiar with the town bailiff. You've seen him before. His name is Larrick. Larrick is a human with brown hair and brown eyes. And he is also not just the bailiff, but also in charge of the town militia.
Ah.
Okay.
Sounds like a cool dude.
Larrick has been also in charge of the security of the city and will regularly visit the church that you remember.
Right. I'm gonna go up to him and ask him if he thinks they're serious about this invasion thing.
You want to go through the crowd and up on stage? That's where he is.
Oh, he's up on stage. Then yeah.
He's not center stage. He's standing off to the side.
I like approach the side of the stage, stand off to the side, and try to get his attention.
Okay. Davros, do you follow him?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. So you guys both walk up, and the crowd kind of doesn't really resist you, like kind of flowing through them the way you would at a dance party. The fastest way to get through any kind of crowd or dance party is to do what the crowd is doing, from experience.
I'm gonna try to borrow some rotten fruit and throw it at some guards.
Are you also tempted, Davros?
No, I'm not gonna participate in that. I'll just kind of watch.
All right, well, you grab some food, and people kind of let you mosey up to the front with it. Let's see, what do you grab? You grab a head of nasty-looking lettuce, and in your other hand, oh, I rolled the same number twice. You got two big old heads of nasty, rotten lettuce.
Ooh, that's the best. One for each guard. Let's go.
So you kind of mosey your way up to the front, Davros following closely behind you. You get up there, and you see the two guards are in the shackles, and one lifts his head up, and you see Gnome is one of the guards, and the other one is a human. Neither one of them are the Dragonborns that you've typically seen from the capital.
Fuck him.
Yeah, fuck him. I'm throwing the fruit or the lettuce.
The vegetable. Have you never seen the Dungeons and Dragons ability scores by fruit?
Let us
Yes.
through.
No, it's ability
Yes.
scores by tomato.
By tomatoes, yes.
Roll for cabbage.
Strength is
I already-
how
I
hard you
already-
can
I already
throw a
did.
tomato. Dex is how well you can catch a tomato. Constitution is what happens when you eat a bad tomato. Intelligence is knowing that tomatoes are fruit. Wisdom's knowing not to put in a fruit salad. And charisma is how well you can sell a tomato-based fruit.
Kyle, if there isn't a graphic in the YouTube video of exactly that, I'm gonna be angry.
I kind of thought that was going towards something like charisma is how well you can talk to a tomato. And in response,
That is
It was in
100%.
some tomato to make you fruit salad.
That's exactly what DJ would think.
That is exactly what DJ would think.
it is.
So you walk up and you pelt the two guards with the cabbage, and you see Larrick notices you, and he kind of grins at you gently. Walk.
Wave at him.
You approach him.
Yeah. Wave at him and then run up to him.
He flags at you with his index and middle finger, saying like, "Hey, come here."
Bump
Kinda
and
hang
ask
back a
him.
little bit.
There's like a small part between the crowd and the actual stage. The crowd is throwing cabbage up onto the stage, which is raised about 3 feet off the ground. And there's about a 1 foot difference between the crowd and the actual stage itself. So they're pretty close. So you step forward, and the guard captain, Larrick, hops down, or the bailiff rather, hops down, and he kind of looks at you, and he says, "Oh, good afternoon. How are you doing?" He walks over and extends his arm out.
Hi,
Sand
how are
shaker.
you?
So you gotta take his hand, and he clasps you by the forearm instead with the adventurer's handshake.
Yeah, I am an adventurer now. Cool, neat.
He
That's
pats you.
nice.
He pats you on the forearm and looks over at Davros, and he gives a curt bow and he says hello in Elvish.
Well, That wouldn't catch me off guard, would it?
It probably would.
Oh, okay.
Do you respond?
Yeah, I step forward and extend my hand to shake it, and I also say hello in Elvish with a smile.
He grins. Watt, you would know that he probably doesn't speak Elvish, just that he was being courteous and knows one word in
Oh,
Elvish.
he just knows the word.
I was thinking that exact same thing. I was like, what if that's the only word that he knows?
Yeah.
It's more than
It's legitimate, like walking up to somebody who speaks Spanish and saying "Hola," and then they reply in Spanish back to you, and you're like, "Oh, I was just trying to be nice. Oh no, now I look like an ass."
Hey, can we pause for a second? I have to rearrange my setup.
Okay,
Music.
he's got to
What are the
scratch.
odds
He's
you
got
never
to.
sit again?
He's got to scratch his scrotum.
What are the odds you never sit again?
Where's the Wii music, please?
Doop-doop-doop-doop-doop.
Can I have another Coke? All right. Hard line. I want to know hard line.
There we go. This needs to be our technical difficulties song.
10 minutes in? No problem.
How hard do you think it would be to drink your thing? Just wondering. Like, you like put in some water and then like stir it up? Yeah. Do you think that'd be hard?
Probably.
What do you think that would be?
And fade out the music.
I'm gonna have to pee again almost, just letting you guys know.
You all good, Swank?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Or are you bad?
That too.
Starting back up in 3, 2, 1, go!
So, Watt, he looks at you and he says, "What brings you back to town so soon? I thought you were heading out to do some stuff."
Trying to find my dad. It's me pretty often, so I figured I'd come back to check and see if he's been in town since I left.
He says, "You mean the Grand Priest?"
No, my actual dad, the elf adventurer.
He cocks an eyebrow and he's like, "You don't know?" Did he
What
cut out?
doesn't he
I think he
know?
cut out. Yeah, I think he cut out.
I mean, it's not like it matters
Okay.
anyway.
Okay, am I back? I can hear you.
Yes,
3
you are.
episodes, right?
I hope you
Yeah.
heard what I said, Adam.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah,
So what did you say, Adam?
I was like, I heard what? Like looking really worried.
He says, "Oh no, he's not like dead or anything. He's back and he's acting as after you left, your father took an interest in your studies as a cleric and came back to kind of sit around in the church and read some and study some, kind of trying to see what it was that his son was up to, and has since taken on a kind of like the active standing role as head priest while the other one has been ill."
Okay. I'm just gonna start running towards the church.
Never. You see what go, "Oh," and then run.
Like a girl.
I just kind of hastily follow.
Lyric is sitting on the stage. Now he like jumps back up on it and like waves at you guys as you run off, and he's like, "Have fun with that." So,
Right.
you run straight towards town. It's not much farther from the actual town center that you're in. Only about like a 5-minute run. You run up the town section into those levels, like I said, and you run up like 2 basically sections, and just kind of passing through those districts without stopping. And you get up to like just before the residential area, and you get to your church. And it looks like your church is actually under construction a little bit. You see scaffoldings on each side constructing what looks to be like 2 new additions. One is almost completely finished in the year that you've been gone, while the other one looks like it's just begun. It looks like they've added a completely separate wing to the eastern side of the church, and there is a new western addition being added on right now. Your church faces south. You see a host of workers on the scaffolding, roughly 15 to 20 men on each side, working away. And you see what looks to be like a couple of priestly men standing outside, kind of like acting as foremen and overviewing what's going on. You also see a paladin, a very obvious one at that, sitting on the steps in full plate armor with the tabard hanging between his legs and his greatsword resting on the stairs beside him. He bears the sigil of your church.
Do I recognize him, or he's new here?
He looks to be new to your face. You've never seen him before.
I'm gonna go and just welcome the paladin guy here, ask him what brings him here, and then ask if.
So as you approach the paladin, looks to be like a tiefling with shaved horns as you get closer. He has lighter skin, and his horns sit very gently in his hair. And his eye color, though different in yellow and completely encompasses his entire eyeball, is very subdued. So at first glance, he looks to be quite human. But as you get closer, you notice that he does have shaved horns that kind of sit in his black hair. He looks over at you and he says, "Oh, are you Mr. Kentier's son?"
Yes, I am. Just getting visibly excited to possibly see my dad in the near future.
He shoots up and like grasps your hand and like very like physically shakes it very like sternly, and kind of like gives a slight bow, and he says, "It is an honor to meet you."
Thanks. Nice to meet you too. What's your name?
I make a face when he says,
He looks over at you, Davros. He looks over at you, Davros, and he extends his hand as well. And he says, "Oh, you may call me Observance."
Observance?
that was
okay.
observance?
Observance.
Okay. I shake his hand.
He looks at you and goes, "You must not be very familiar with tiefling naming. We try to embody what our name is, and I am studious and pious in my belief." He looks over at Watt. "I am a big fan of your work."
Out of character, is that untrue? Like,
No,
is he?
that's-
No,
That's
yeah,
true.
that's true.
Okay.
It's 100% true. I guess the only kind of like odd comment that he made to you is that Watt doesn't really have any kind of like work. She just started adventure.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, thank you. My work's important. I take pride in it. Not having any clue what he's talking about.
Watt, what is your father's first name?
Silas.
Silas. So he looks at you and he's like, "Well, you must be here to see your father. Silas is inside. Please, go."
Spoiler: he dies
I
as soon
just
as
hurry
possible.
past.
So he smiles at you guys and he turns back and he says, "The Lord doth watch us over, does he not?"
He always does. Yes. Like, there's 9 lords, or how many gods are in this pantheon?
9.
I can't even. Who said that? Was that you, Kyle?
Of course it was.
That was Kyle.
It's 9. There are technically 10, I believe. Let me give me a second. Let's see here.
9.
Yeah,
No.
Adam. I'm pretty sure
9
Silas
for
is
each of
gonna
the
die.
alignments,
Have like
and then the 2
spontaneous heart attack as soon as you walk through.
Oh no! Like, I hug him too hard and crush him.
You hug him too hard, and just crush him. No, you hug him so hard that like thunder just lightning comes out of your body. You just
Yes. What's
cry.
what
Accidentally activates Wrath of a Storm.
So as you approach the door, you notice that the door has what looks to be like a very large tree inlaid in the wooden oak of the double doors. The tree is split directly down the middle, and there's a huge, massive kind of like oak tree type, like leaving and branching out from the center. And you see in circles inlaid in the wood, evenly spaced, that goes across the top of the canopy, each depiction of every god. And on the door, written in common and in Elvish, directly beneath it, it says, "Speak the name of thy lord to enter."
Well, I'm going to speak the name of Tiberium.
All right, you reach up.
No bow.
You reach up and say Tiberium aloud. You see that the sigil on the door for Tiberium lights up, and the door goes as if two large latches on the inside of the door release, and you grab and you open the door. So you swing the door open, and the tree separates down the center. And I assume you're probably going to only open up one. You don't want to open up both. You're not going to make a guy, "Hey, Dad, I'm home."
Yeah. Huge entrance. Just like at this point, I'm getting nervous more than excited.
So he looks at you. So you enter into the room, and you see what looks to be like 2 rows of pews and 3 aisles. And at the very front of the church, you see what looks to be like kind of like an alcove type section with 9 different slots inside of it, and a big center slot with a dragon over the middle of it. And the dragon kind of presides over those 9 different.
Neat.
You can presume that dragon must be Balthazar's.
Yeah, the bitch in charge.
Yeah, the HMIF. So you walk inside, and you see what looks to be like your father speaking with a man with black hair and a trimmed goatee that kind of spikes at the ends. And he looks to have like kind of like these red eyes, but they don't look like they're actually like the color red. It almost looks like they're red with intensity. Like when you initially look at them, you can see like a fire burning in his soul. One of passion and of action. This man is probably, as far as human age goes, in his mid-20s to early 30s. And it looks like he has a very noble countenance about him.
I'm going to walk up
Speaking with your father.
behind the guy that my dad's talking to, just start waving, trying to get his attention, not actually interrupting their conversation yet.
So if you
I'm
like,
gonna
if you've
wave
been
in
to like,
the exact same way that.
so your father looks at you and kind of like nods his head and looks at the man and goes like, "Oh, forgive me, I'm gonna have to. I need to speak to somebody. Do you mind if we continue this later?" The man kind of like looks back over at you, Watt, and he goes like, "Oh, not a problem." He extends a hand, and you notice his hand kind of has like a red kind of tint to it at first. Give me an inspection. Go ahead and roll a investigation check.
As soon as one's dead goes over there, he shoots it with an arrow.
Would you also like?
Nat 1.
Swank, you can roll one as well.
What'd you guys roll for?
Investigation.
Mhm.
19.
Hey,
19.
if you add yours together, it's a.
Davros. You see that this man is fully clothed in armor, and it's like underneath some cloth. He looks kind of like he's dressed like a paladin. He's got like a tabard and stuff like that, but he's got like a cloak on, and he's got like a cape on. And otherwise, you can't really see any other part of his skin other than when he extends his hand out, it doesn't have a glove on it so that he can shake it. And you see on the back side of his hand looks to be like very fine red scales on somebody who otherwise looks human. He shakes your father's hand, Watt, and he excuses himself and steps away and walks out the front door.
Cool. I'm just gonna run up.
You embrace your father, and he embraces you back. And Watt, as you're kind of like hugging him, and you got that moment of enjoyment of like seeing your father again, you kind of like examine the room, and you notice that this room is a great deal more extravagant than the last time you saw it. Almost as if the money that should be going to other things is kind of spent on improving the church and its appearance. The pews are all hand carven wood, made of yew, and the ceiling and the roof of the actual cathedral is painted depicting Balthasar's battle with the two evil dragons of the old tales. And you see in that same depiction what must be the emperor leading the army against those two evil dragons.
I'm gonna ask my dad, how have I really been gone this long? First of all, how did you take over? And second of all, how did the church become this beautiful?
And he says, "Oh, master craftsmen from the capital have been sent here as emissaries of goodwill, and they offered to fund the church and its various teachings, that they may help us better understand the empire, and that maybe that one day we could embrace them. And while I personally disagree with the head priest's motives on accepting the money, it's certainly been good for us, and it's certainly been helpful to those of us who have been in need. We've been able to get more supplies to feed the town and the poor, and we've been able to kind of help more with the sick. And otherwise, some of the scrolls of learning that the clerics had for various healing purposes have become more readily available due to the funds. But additionally, the head priest has been so delved into his work as of late that I think he's kind of fallen a little bed sick. When you sit too long and you read, you start to break down. Your body gets too old to do anything.
Right.
He says, "I'm just kind of doing this because nobody else really wanted to. I'd rather be out, doing what you're doing, son. And I'm just a little too old, And he claps you on the shoulder.
Well, glad I can help you live vicariously through me. Things were, but seems like this extra money is helping the community, so yeah, neat."
He looks at you and he says, "So why have you come back to the church, son? I thought you were out on an adventure."
Are other people in the room with us?
I'm sorry. He looks at you funny. What did you say?
No, I'm asking you, Ian, are there other people in the room with us?
Yeah, no, he responds to you. Oh, I'm sorry. Out of character. No, there's nobody else there.
Okay, then I'm going to kind of lift up my shirt and show him the tattoo of the curse and everything.
He blinks a couple times and then looks over at Davros and looks back to me and goes like, "That was not there when you were born. Were you playing with brains again?"
Hey, man, I don't know how this showed up either.
I kind of just put my hands up.
He looks over at Davros again and he says like, no, I'm not blaming you. Just is he getting up to stupid things again?
I mean, no more stupid than normal.
You've known me for a day. How would you know?
It doesn't take that long.
Silas chuckles and he says, "Well, if you want to show the head priest, you can, but he's going to be busy for about, I would imagine, another 2 or 3 days. He doesn't usually come out of his room of study for days at a time. He's only been there for about 1 or 2, so if you want to wait around town, I'll let him know that you've come, and then hopefully if you drop by in the next day or so, he'll be happy to come out."
Will we have that kind of time? I'm sure you've heard of that invasion apparently coming in a week.
He very casually rolls his eyes and he says, "The Empire's not going to invade us, not when they're funding the church. What are they going to do? Destroy their investment?"
I mean, Maybe they're trying to get you to. Is there something you're not doing that they want you to comply with?
And he says, that's something you should take up with the town mayor, not me. I don't know. As far as I know, we pay our taxes, but we're an independent city-state. I don't know if you know that. We have separated from the Empire successfully roughly 8 months ago.
Oh, I did not know that. Neat.
And he's like, I know, in such close proximity to the Empire, you'd think that they would have had more of a fuss about it, but they just let us do it. As a matter of fact, I do believe that the head priest was in charge of that. He and the mayor got together and were able to work something out, as I understand.
Can I make a comment real quick about how he said, we pay taxes as far as I know.
Well, it's a church. He doesn't necessarily... They're tax exempt. It's a church.
I mean,
I just thought that was really funny how he worded
just casually worked that in. That's fair.
Anyway, so with this information, do you want to try and speak to the head priest yourselves? Do you want to wait? Go back to the group.
Can I go try to knock on his door, see if he responds?
You can. Your father's going to motion that you not.
Right then.
What are the odds
Like-
that what didn't notice or like didn't like hear him motioning or whatever?
I mean, I don't know.
I just thought that would be funny.
So I go to my dad. I'm like, point to my stomach again. You sure this wasn't here when I was born, right?
He like slaps you across the back of the head.
I'm just making sure.
He looks at you and is like, I didn't raise you to be stupid.
I did that on my own.
He's like, no, I'm pretty sure your mother did, but that's fine.
Yeah.
He's like, don't tell your mother I said that, though. You know how this goes.
Of course. Can I get what's the cloth that goes over their armor called?
Tabard?
Yeah. Could I get would there possibly be tabards for me to put over my chainmail that have the symbol of our church on it?
Yeah, absolutely. You want
Cool.
to retrieve one?
Yeah, I would like to grab one of those.
Yeah, your father says it. You know where they are, and he motions side rooms with mints and things like that in it for the church specifically.
Yeah.
Have you decided on what your emblem is, or do you want me to go with the one that I decided? It's up to you.
I was
It is your
thinking just
it is your symbol.
yeah, the big tree with all the symbols of the gods around it.
I'm sorry. You want the tree with all the gods on it?
Yeah, that was on the door.
Yeah. That's the church symbol. So yep. Okay. That tree when you put the tabard on, the tabard is going to have like a center head hole that kind of slides over you, and it hangs from both sides, and there's a rope that you tie around your waist, and you slide your arms through some through like the sides of those holes after you've tied around your waist, and it fits like front and back with no sides, so it's kind of like you just have like literally a tablecloth over you with the middle. It's very simple. And the tabard is a black color in the center with a blue trim and a green tree in the center.
Neat.
So, aside from that, there's really nothing else for you to do here unless you want to continue to persist with that door.
Let my dad know. There's like 5 more of us with this same tattoo that I'm gonna be bringing back in the morning. Is that okay? One of them's a tiefling. He's kind of nervous.
And he says, did you not meet observance?
Yeah. Just for his sake, thought I would ask.
Hey, he should be fine as long as observance is as long as he's accepted here. I can't imagine any other tiefling wouldn't be.
Right. That no one's gonna judge him for coming here.
He says, no, we took observance here because he ran from the Empire, you know?
Oh.
Anyway, best get back to your friends then if you have things to do with them in in town, perhaps.
I'll let him know that we're welcome here, and that we'll try to fix.
He hugs you and kisses each side of your cheek.
He what's him?
Hugs him and kisses each side of his cheek.
You cut out on our end just a little. Or it's like he humps him and kisses you on each side of the cheek. I'm like, weird family.
No,
It's a weird ass church.
he embraces you.
Sounds like a calf. No mind. I've said too much.
Oh no!
I tried, guys. I tried. I dropped the ball.
Episode title sounds like
Four, seven,
Sounds like
8
a-
letters. I
There's gonna
stopped.
be plenty of people who are gonna be. Wait, what? Talking about?
So-
Were you even talking about religion? I don't even know.
I don't know.
What it is. What?
Dragonborn and stuff.
So, do you return to the church?
yeah, we're gonna go ahead and head back to everyone else.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. So, you guys return back, and as you're like walking up the steps, you see Mel and Nadar and Amnon kind of like walking down the steps, and you see Dijo talking to Iroh as Dijo turns to walk away from Iroh, and they're both walking down the front steps of the inn.
I'm gonna just- How many? Who all is out there? Just Dijo or
The whole group.
whole group?
So,
I'm gonna be like,
how'd it go?
Do you have a question, Don?
Hello. No, I'm waving to him. Hello.
Okay.
just wave. I didn't hear Kyle ask that.
Back at Don. Or at, whatever.
Nadar makes sure he waits for DJ to catch up.
I didn't hear Amnon ask that question, so I'm just gonna run up and just be like, "So good news, guys."
All right. I guess that means it went well.
What's the good news?
Go.
Well, my dad's here. First of all, that was fun. But
Oh, that's
Okay,
good.
what's
Yeah.
the good news?
Did you figure out how to remove the curse? Can they remove the curse from us? Is that
no, but the high priest of the church might know. He'll see us in like 1 or 2 days, whenever he opens his bedroom door.
Did you try to open it yourself?
Nadar makes a face of that.
1 to 2 days? So we came here to try to figure out if we could remove the curse, and now we gotta wait to
He's-
see if there's even a possibility. Like we can't. What's he doing in his room?
I mean, he's got to
Hey,
pee
look,
eventually,
don't worry,
right?
guys.
Obviously,
Just
but-
let me talk to him. We can get this
Oh my
curse
God.
uncursed in like 30 minutes tops.
He's
I
Just let
mean,
me
the high
talk to
priest.
Yeah, I think DJ's got this.
got to pee eventually, right?
No comments from the peanut gallery.
And I turn to Mel like, you don't tell him what to do.
That's
I'll do it at
aggressive.
once.
You know what? That's fine. We got 2 days? 2 days? I'll see y'all later. And I'm gonna walk.
And Nadar instantly goes, thank God.
I yell Mel's name really loud. Like, I yell like, I'm not going to do that, but just Dijo yelling Mel loud. Until he comes back.
Just let him go, little buddy.
He doesn't come back for 2
He's still dreaming
Screaming.
about bubbles.
So, Mel, as you turn to start walking down the steps, Mel, you see a little halfling run between your legs and almost knock you on the ground, climbing up the steps. He's running straight for Iroh, who's about to enter into the room, enter back into his establishment. He almost
Hey.
knocks you down the steps.
I tell Mel that they might be able to bring Bubbles back to life.
To life, he's not dead.
He's not dead. We just bartered with him.
We just gave him away.
What kind of priest is this?
Why you gotta say that kind of stuff, DJ? Just don't.
What
It's too soon.
Mel, Mel, do you
you
respond? Do you respond to the halfling running between your legs, Mel?
Do I recognize the halfling?
No.
Like, watch where you're going. I'm walking here.
So he gets up to the top of the steps, looks down at you, holds up a letter, and then like with the same hand that he's got the letter out, he kind of like flips the letter down flat but keeps his middle finger up.
Oh, he's giving me a letter.
No, he's giving you the bird.
We just
I-
got a letter. We just got a letter. I wonder who it's from.
So
No, don't.
That stays in.
I just.
No, I was gonna say edit in the actual song over Kyle singing it.
And you can have Blue just hopping in the background.
Oh,
so
no, I just walk away.
Mel, you turn to walk away, and you hear Iroh from the top of the steps shout, "Son of a bitch!" He looks down at you. Okay, who wants to make some money?
Nadar raises.
DJ raises his hand
All right, I guess I
and high fives the door.
stop for a second. I stop walking for a second. I look up like.
No, not you. Not you. Do this.
Oh. I don't pay Nadar any mind.
I turn my back to him.
Iroh pads down the steps down to Nadar, and he digs into his like little pouch on the side of his belt, and he kind of jumbles around through it. And he's like, "Okay, I've got a hefty amount of gold here, and I need a tea shipment retrieved, please,
Okay.
please,
Where they at?
please."
How much?
Where they at?
I just stare at Mel.
How
That's
much?
a legitimate question. How much are we getting paid?
He kind of
Clearly
looks at
some muscle, which is why he's asking me to do it myself. Nobody needs you. Go read a book somewhere.
Yeah, DJ, because that's a whole lot of money.
Hey, did you kill the pig last night? I don't think so. Shut up.
Yeah.
Iroh looks at you and he's like, "Wait, you
"Ruin
killed a
all of our
pig?"
bacon."
I don't want any bacon.
Iroh says,
He
"Wait,
just starts flexing.
Iroh says, what, you killed the pig? Do you have any of the meat left? I'll buy that from you."
No,
I think
Some,
Watts scrambled it up, but I could be wrong.
it was too dirty. It wasn't worth it. Fucking hobgoblins.
Iroh looks at you like you're stupid. He goes, "Wait, what do you mean dirty? You skin it. The meat's underneath what's dirty."
Yeah, but like germs and stuff.
Iroh rolls his eyes and he goes,
Fire.
I'll pay each of you 200 gold to go and retrieve this tea shipment."
If Mel dies in the process, can I have his 200?
Iroh
That's
looks at
hypothetical.
Iroh looks
We'll split
Iroh
it.
looks down at Mel.
I'm gonna suggest. Can we split all of Mel's gold?
Iroh looks down. Iroh looks down at Mel, stroking his beard. He goes like, "You're not gonna die, are you?"
Well, it's not on the agenda.
I'm behind him like,
Iroh looks at you and he says, "Tell you what, I'll leave a clause for it in your document, but otherwise, I'm not going to bank on him dying, as human life is important. Well, all life is important, but specifically human life, because persecution and slavery is terrible."
debatable. So where's his tea at?
Hashtag human lives matter.
Dragonborn lives matter.
Can't even.
Dragonborn lives really, really matter in this universe. What
Yeah,
are you
it-
talking about? First
Yeah,
class
what's the
citizen
tea at?
over here.
Nah, humans are the slaves.
So where's this tea at?
He says, just to the south of the city, there's a marsh that connects to the actual ocean. I need you to go and barter with the lizard folk who stole the shipment.
Now, when you say barter,
Okay, when I say barter,
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
say-
he says, when I say barter, they speak like three different things down there: food, survival, or blade. So bring any of the. Oh, hang on, sorry, Mal. Food, survival, blade, or magic, which is attached to blade. You know what I mean?
it's like a no.
Looks at Amnon.
What I'm asking
Magic
is,
blade?
are they going to be hostile towards us? Like, do we have to come in with blades? Because, like, I don't know if I just want to kill people for fun. Like, or like, can they be reasoned with?
He kind of sizes you up for a second. And he goes like, "Well, they respect strength, and as long as you don't look like you're, going down to feed yourselves to them, you should be fine."
Iroh, level with me. Are these guys dumb?
Iroh spends a minute studying everybody.
Are you?
Like if anybody attempts to speak to him, he holds up a finger, studies you.
I'm gonna lean over to Amnon. I'm like, you gonna try to preach to them about the great Lord Zarbdok?
Absolutely.
Good.
He says, "All right. So the lizard folk are very literal people. They do worship a deity, but I would caution you about the nuances of society, and any kind of like subtlety that you have as a sentient being will be completely lost on them.
Fantastic.
Please." He's like, "So please
literal
don't."
with lizard people. Good.
He's like, "Yeah, I do not. If there's a bird in the bush, do not even mention that metaphor. If you have to say like, oh, it's like something, just say that it is this something. They do not understand metaphors, analogies, or euphemisms."
Nadar is just like puzzled, like, why the fuck would we say anything about a bird being in a bush?
Iroh, you are so lucky because bartering is our speciality.
Iroh looks at you. Iroh looks at you, Amnon, and he grins, and he's like, "I look forward to having my tea back."
Good.
Oh, okay.
He digs.
I'm gonna ask.
He digs into his pouch and he pulls out a teacup, and he pours some tea off of a pot that he had on his waist.
All right.
To everyone who cannot see fucking Don's face, I said he has a teapot on his waist, and Don's head like whips up when he was looking at it. Like, how long has that been there? It's been there the entire time.
All right. So where do we have to? It's in the swamp, right?
The Mars.
Yeah, he reaches into his pouch and he pulls out a map, and he's like, "This is my personal map." He's like, "Okay, actually, it happens to be a magical map. Anywhere you go, it fills out the terrain around you within a mile."
Perfect.
right?
That'll do fine, and I go to grab it.
So that's like it's like in Minecraft where you gotta just walk around.
No, it's like Harry Potter.
What the hell is Minecraft and Harry Potter?
I don't know.
It's the thing. It'll be a big hit.
I ask.
It's this new thing.
I
I'm
see
working
that'll
on.
work, and I grab the map.
So as you go to snatch the map, Iroh like instinctually pulls his hand back and slaps your hand out.
Hey, we're doing this for you.
Nice high five.
He's like, he looks at you and he's like, "Yes, but I did not say you could just take it out of my hand. I'm going to give it to you. Let me finish
Okay.
explaining what it does." He says, "You may use this map to find your way if you get lost. Do not use it to get there. You will go blind from staring at this for too long. Ask me how I know.
Hey.
I went blind for like an hour."
Oh, an hour? That's not bad.
Only an hour.
Let Mel go blind. We don't care if he's.
He was like,
So
"No,
I-
I don't think you understand. I read this map for 5 minutes and I went, don't
I hold
use
my
this
hand
map."
out.
Like,
Just waiting for.
Wait. What happens if we let Zarbdok read the map and then he turns back into Amnon?
It's only one way to find out.
Does Watt know about Zarbdok yet?
He
I
does
guess
not.
he would. Well,
And
you do.
I feel
you do
like we
mention-
would have talked about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Well,
talked about it a lot.
I think the only person he's actually admitted it to is Nadar.
Yeah. All the other times I've talked about it, has been in reference to the great fiend Zarbdok and trying to be Star-Lordy about it.
Star-Lordy. Nice.
All right.
Anyway, so Nadar, he puts the map in your hand without letting go and like, looks at you in the eyes, and he says, "Do not use this lightly."
Does he
Use it
say, like,
heavily.
does he like say it, like in a low voice?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can hear it. Perfect. I won't, as I put it in my waistband or belt thing, satchel.
he looks at you because if you actually put it in your belt face, but if you put it in your satchel, he's good.
Yeah, like just like
If you like clipped it, if you like clipped it to like your belt loop, and it was just like pinched between the belt loop, he's gonna be like, "What did I just say?"
That's what I should have done. Just put in the waistband. Gotcha.
Crumple it up, shove it down your pants.
See, don't
I'll put in the
Don't
same
use it
place I
lightly.
have on
use
me.
it heavily.
So,
I think we're ready, guys.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. As we turn around and walk away, I'm like, "Here, Mel, fine."
I don't touch the map.
I don't
No, we
touch
gotta
the
know
map.
where- Dude, you 4 minutes and like 59 seconds. You're good.
I'm not touching that map.
You're fucking useless.
Would the druid have any interest in the map?
Well, the druid doesn't have an interest.
Wow. Fair. All right.
I mean, same.
So you go and retrieve. Actually, no, everyone's there. So you're just gonna beeline straight to the western gates because he told you that the swamps are to the southwest of the city, almost to the actual banks of the ocean. So you guys get to the edge of the city, and the gates to the city are open for traffic. It's only about 2 or so in the afternoon, and as you guys are exiting the city, you notice that the sun is coming up into full swing, and it's a really nice day outside. And you get out onto the main road without any issue whatsoever. And you notice that there's a sign that points off towards Dragon Bridge. And farther down that way is what looks to be like a sign that's kind of more faded and worn and very difficult to read just by trying to glance at it.
This sign is very difficult to read.
Having lived here, would I know where that sign points to?
Yeah, you would. You know the name of that sign is Black Moss Swamp.
Oh, so I was right.
Neat. So probably where we're going, right?
Is that the right way?
I don't see a sign that says lizard.
Why? Is that the right way?
A ghostly voice in Dejo's ear, like that of Ira, says you're ridiculously stupid.
So yeah. So we go towards the swamp.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Yes, why?
While we're going on the swamp, I kind of like tug on Dejo, kind of like back up and like so we can have a conversation.
Okay, I do so.
Kind of away from everybody, and I'm be like, so Dejo. Hey, look, I don't want to tell the rest of the group this, but I think I got a plan here. Not for this. This is something else. I got a plan and I need your help. All right. I haven't worked out all the details, but it involves you. Okay. Okay. We're gonna get Bubbles back.
Oh no.
Yes.
Okay, hold
Yeah.
on. One second.
Does DJ remember who Bubbles is?
Oh, yeah, it is. No.
Who the
I'm
fuck
just
is
trying.
Bubbles?
I'm just trying to like think of how DJ's gonna react. DJ says, "Yes, of course, yeah. We need Bubbles back. Okay, how are we gonna do this?"
All right. Well, look. Let's do this job. Then we'll talk. I just wanted to make sure that you're don't tell the rest of the group. All right. It's between you and me right now. Okay.
DJ looks at Mel dead in the eyes and says, "I am 100% on board to get Bubbles back."
Is there any
Oh,
chance
no.
I can hear this?
And then what does DJ do?
Like I said, don't.
What's
tell-
your passive perception?
Who?
DJ will not tell a soul.
Just
I will not
average.
tell a soul. We
That-
will get Bubbles back.
Passive
Just average.
perception's just 10 plus modifier, right?
Yes, it's
15.
proficiency plus 10.
That was not what I was
10
expecting.
plus proficiency plus modifier if you're proficient in it. Are you proficient in perception?
Yeah, it's 15.
Oh, 15? You know what? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and let you roll for that, because it's pretty high perception, passive perception. You can't roll any lower than that, but for the record.
Well, I just rolled a 2.
He did in fact roll.
All right. No, you're not paying any attention to that. You're probably more alert, kind of waiting for lizard folk to poke their heads out.
God, okay, fine.
Okay. As for walking, I'm going to do the same thing with Amnon and be like, so this fiend Zarbdok.
Yeah, what about him?
And I'm gonna grab Davros.
I'm gonna ask.
Trees, right? Yeah.
So I've seen your eyes change colors. Can you like actually summon a great fiend, or what's going on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't really I don't control it very well, but I hear him talking to me a lot more often than he is in control of my body.
That makes sense.
It's still kind of new, but not too new to the point where I'm freaked out by it anymore.
Right.
You hear Zarbdock in your head and say, "You fucking liar."
Out loud, I say, "Shut the fuck up, okay? Jeez."
See, I don't think it's necessarily great fiend. I think it's great friend. You just forgot the R.
That's the title of the episode.
What, you forgot the R?
Okay.
You forgot the R.
It's great friend. You just forgot the R.
After that, I
So I'm gonna
immediately
be like-
After that, I immediately pick up the pace.
No, I mean, DJ probably didn't hear that.
No, I know. I'm just messing.
All right. So, as you guys are walking along, you notice that the trees kind of start turning more into. What are those trees with the Spanish moss all over them? You start seeing a lot of Spanish moss. Although I guess it wouldn't be Spanish moss because you're not on Earth. It's
Spanish moss trees.
Be more like
Yes.
Spanish Manos.
hands. Manos means hands in Spanish. You got hands hanging in trees in moss-like formations. It's a nightmare.
It's creepy as hell.
Oh no.
What the hell?
That's. Why would anyone come to this swamp?
Anyway, no.
See, of course.
So what you do see is you see those trees covered in black moss hanging from the trees all over the branches, and it kind of gives almost like a nighttime view in certain areas of the trees, where it looks like the actual parts of the forested area is dark, like it would be night, and you can see standing pools of water begin to building up on each side of the road, and that putrid smell of like rotting wood and like plant life that kind of builds up around the edges of the road begins to kind of pile up. And you guys notice that you're getting closer and closer to the denser part of the actual swamp. And you can actually hear what sounds to be like seagulls passing your head, cawing every now and then, indicating that you're also getting closer to the coast.
Those bastards.
Those little bastards.
Any signs of lizard folk around?
So what you are noticing is that the pathway goes from kind of being like that inlaid stone, like Holland stone, that goes into the city, like the mix-maxing rectangular bricks, to a dirt path after about 15 minutes of travel. And you notice that the road you're going down begins to kind of like look a little more deteriorated and kind of used over time. And I'm going to ask the druid, who kind of spends more time in nature, to give me a perception check.
Nadar's gonna look at Watt and be like, "Are we close yet? Have you been this far before?"
I rolled a 14.
All right. So the druid is walking along, and what you see on the edges of the like road is what looks to be like some tracks left there. It looks like you see a bunch of sets of tracks. You want to go over there and take a look at them?
Yeah, why not?
So you guys see Davros kind of walking along, and he's kind of like examining the surroundings. And he kind of like looks, and you see his gaze kind of like lock on something, and he kind of like veers off the road a little bit and walks over to examine something on the side of the road.
What do I see?
I follow him.
To Nadar, say, I mean, I've been to the swamp before, but there's never been a lizard folk camp, so I'm not really sure where we're going.
Are there ogres?
Kill yourself. Get out of my swamp.
I'm surprised I was able to say that with a straight face.
So, Davros, you lean down, and you notice that the edges of the road have standing water on the side of them, and directly in front of you is one of those kind of blackened out nighttime looking areas. And you can see in the nighttime, and you can see in an area like that because of your dark vision.
Yeah.
And what you see is what looks to be like a set of 2 feet, as far as like footprints go, that travel along and kind of veer off the road from there. The road's really heavily traveled. It really is. So it's kind of hard to get any kind of footprint marks out of it. You see kind of like cart wagon marks, stuff like that. What you see here looks to be like 2 feet and a single line in the middle of them, about
Like in between the feet?
about 8 or so inches in width at its thickest part.
I'm gonna walk over to Davros and be like, "What do you have? What you looking at?"
It's either somebody with a tail or a really big dick.
Or both.
So it's apparent that he's looking at tracks as soon as you approach him and see him crouched down over the door.
Is that the lizard folks or?
Well, like
Hey.
DJ said, it's one of the two, and lizard folk have tails. So.
It's like I went through here.
So, I want Nadar. Who actually went? Who said they went over there to like follow him?
I did.
You can't just raise your hand, Don. No one can hear that.
Nadar did. I was just making you work a little harder.
No, yeah, I think
Nadar.
I was gonna say I think Mel, Amnon, and Watt probably all stayed back.
All right. So you kind of like hang on the road and are waiting for these 3 to kind of like look around. I need the 3 who went over to the side to give me a perception check again.
One more.
Another one.
22.
22.
Yeah,
I rolled
17 plus
10.
5.
So
14
you are
Nadar.
standing there.
But that's
You're standing
actually
up.
9.
Davros, you're standing up, and as you're standing up, you look up into the like the very dark area, and you see something locking eyes with you for a second. You see the glint of eyes, kind of reflecting light from them in the darkness. It's very brief, and you're not entirely positive you saw it, but there was something.
Sorry, we just had a little bit of interruption.
I like how, and then he comes back through on this side.
So, do you how do you respond to
What was
this?
like the last quarter of that? Sorry.
Oh my goodness, no problem.
Yeah,
As you are rising to your feet, you kind of like drag your eyes up from the ground up to the forested area, and you see what looks to be like the glint of eyes, maybe reflecting the light that it's receiving, looking straight at you. It locks eyes with you for a moment before it goes away. You see nothing else but the glint of the eyes.
Okay, and it goes away. That's the part I missed.
Yeah, you're not entirely positive you saw it, but you saw something.
I like shake Dijo and Nadar, and I point to the first. Hey, did you guys see those eyes?
As soon as he says that, I grab my great.
all I see are your
What
beautiful eyes.
I smack Dijo.
and I just look at you shaking my head. But I grab my great sword and say, "What eyes? Which way are they?"
So from the water, right, literally like a foot in front of you, Davro, the head of like an alligator type creature kind of like raises up and looks up at Nadar, and it says, "My eyes, kin." And you see a lizard folk rise up from.
Hello.
I
He kinda
will
like-
leave.
He
I didn't realize we're in Louisiana.
he crawls up from the water, and he kind of looks over. He kind of looks at the group. He stands at almost 7 feet in height. He's got black scales and a gray underbelly, with a leather loincloth and what looks to be like a variety of skulls, ranging from a couple of human ones on his right side to some bird ones, and what looks to be like most impressively a dragon skull on his left shoulder.
Oh, that's it.
He just says, "You're rather tall."
He looks down at you and he says, DJ, and he says, "I have never seen a morsel such as yourself speak. Very interesting."
What did he say? What did he call me?
I just kind of put my hand towards you. He called you food.
And I look, I'm like, he's not for eating. He's for entertainment.
DJ doesn't say anything.
He cocks an eyebrow and he looks at the rest of the group and he says, "But you walk with so much food."
Wait.
Yeah, Amnon. So
Like,
Amnon,
excitedly
Watt,
walks
and
up.
Mel, you turn around and you see a lizard folk standing in front of the other group. He's not standing far from you guys either. He's about a foot from you. He has like seriously no sense of personal space whatsoever.
So,
Yeah,
Oh shit!
so we heard him just call us food, right?
Mm-hmm.
And be like,
Called us food? I thought there was food. I'm confused.
well, I mean, I've never had.
No, he brought us food.
He
He
brought us.
brought us food. Neat.
This feels like the entire "Who's on First" bit.
Where is it?
Well, you know, I've never
I-
had lizard meat before, so this,
Will there be?
So-
Will there be? I nudge Amnon tea served with that food.
So do those of us that are on like the road that like didn't go over like the treks, do we hear him speaking about how we're food or whatever?
Yeah, that's what Eric asked. Yep.
All right,
Yes, you
cool.
do.
Sorry, yeah, I couldn't hear because through crosstalk. So Amnon's gonna walk over and is like, "Whoa, friend, we are not food. We have just been recruited to come acquire a tea shipment for a friend of ours who lives in the city."
The lizard looks at you and goes like, "Ah, you mean the leaves? Yes, such a waste to consume such a valuable product that we could use for thatch roofing, for cloth." He kind of like grabs his cloth and flaps it up and down and goes like, "For like hiding such things as this," and he kind of like lifts his cloth up to show you his lizard groin, and then
I have a question. Was it his tail or was it his dick?
You know,
I knew that it was gonna ask too.
I unfortunately have to tell you that we're actually out of time for the episode, so we're gonna have to find out next time.
It's a cliffhanger. That is a cliffhanger.
Next
Not
time.
actually a
on
cliffhanger.
Damn.
Cliffhanger is probably
Dick.
not a good phrase to use when describing if it's.
All right. I'm sorry. I have to leave it there. I don't even want to say that. Leave.
The name of this episode: There were a lot of dick jokes.
The lizard folk locks eyes with you, DJ, and opens his mouth and goes, "Episode over."
Episode
Find out-
title. Was
Find
it
out
the
next
tail or his dick?
time. Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.